I personally think it would be a much better use of this committee's time to conduct meaningful oversight of how the programs are being rolled out and whether they are working as intended to relitigate whether we should have passed this or not. So we can continue to go back and forth on whether this bill is good or bad, or we can get serious about trying to conduct oversight on whether it is actually helping people and what we need to do to push the administration to deliver. As we sit in yet another Republican-led hearing to attack the IRS instead of making it work better, other Republicans are off slashing our entire Congress at the same time. They've stopped Congress from doing its work because they haven't been able to elect a Speaker of the House, so we can't pass any legislation. The most opportunistic Republicans have spent so long attacking our government that now Republicans don't even trust each other. But that's what the opportunists wanted: a weak Congress, a weak IRS. It's what they call smart government. But in reality, it's a federal government that can't serve its people. Mr. Dubinsky, I have one final question. What is the title of this hearing?
The title was "A Basis for an Impeachment Inquiry of President Joseph Biden."
But according to Speaker McCarthy, there isn't a legitimate or meritorious basis yet for this hearing. And no amount of noise on the other side of the aisle is going to change this. As Speaker McCarthy said, in his words, this impeachment inquiry is devoid of any merit or legitimacy. Wow, I just did it. At the very end of an extremely contentious hearing, I found something that Speaker McCarthy was correct about. The Speaker is not on pace to significantly improve his grade before the deadline. So what does that mean for the American people? It means that House Republicans are driving us off a cliff to a shutdown and to the corresponding economic harm. That is not the type of action that is going to bolster our economic growth and fight inflation. While House Republicans struggle to figure out any kind of real plan to keep the government open and to lower costs for the American people, they come up with hearings like this to attack the progress that was made and is being made. We have 16 days until the government shuts down. Speaker McCarthy, who is slow-walking government funding bills one by one, has only passed 1 of 12. I'm a former professor, so I know what 1 of 12 means. The Speaker's getting an F. And these bills don't even have enough support to pass in the Senate. Our constituents, Democrats and Republicans alike, are wondering what the plan really is around here. Make no mistake, today's hearing tells us a great deal about the plan. Someone who's driving you off a cliff wants to distract you, and that's what Republicans are trying to do with this hearing. Look, you don't have to believe me when I say the Inflation Reduction Act is lowering costs for Americans and saving us money. Let me give you a couple of examples. The Inflation Reduction Act includes legislation that I wrote that recovers tax dollars from drug companies that hike drug prices faster than the rate of inflation. For years, Big Pharma has lined its pockets by jacking prices up way faster than inflation. And now patients are already paying less. My bill would recoup $63 billion over 10 years. Thank you very much, Mr. Comer. Mr. Dubinsky, do you believe that this impeachment inquiry has merit?
Again, I'm not a legal scholar. I'm a forensic accountant. I think from what I've seen, there's merit for the inquiry to look for other information now.
Okay, so I'm going to say yes, you believe the impeachment inquiry has merit.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor, do you believe this impeachment inquiry is legitimate?
I don't know enough about the House rules and how things are supposed to work here to know whether it is or not.
Okay. Mr. Turley, do you agree? Do you think this impeachment inquiry has merit or is legitimate?
I do. I think that the House has passed the threshold for an inquiry. That's separate from the question of the articles of impeachment.
Thank you very much. A veteran of several impeachments said that an impeachment inquiry without a floor vote by the Congress would, quote, create a process completely devoid of any merit or legitimacy. Mr. Dubinsky, who said that?
I don't know.
Ms. O'Connor, who said this?
No clue.
Mr. Turley, who said this?
I made an objection along those lines to the earlier decision from Speaker Pelosi to go forward without a House vote, and I've made the same objection today, that I think the best practices in going forward is to do that. And what I've said in my testimony is that it's not required under the Constitution.
Correct.
So if you're
Perfect.
talking about what
Professor
is-
Turley, give me my time. I agree with you. We're not talking about whether it's required legally. I'm just asking you, can you say again for the committee, do you know who made this statement, and if so, who?
I don't. I've made an objection along those lines.
Give me my time. This quote is a statement from now Speaker Kevin McCarthy. We had a major heat wave harming portions of the United States during most of July and August. And in Southern California, where I live, we saw temperatures get as high as 110 degrees. Mr. Higgins, if you were experiencing this kind of extreme heat, what would you turn on in your home to keep yourself safe and comfortable?
The air conditioner.
The air conditioner. We'd all prefer to turn on the air conditioner. But not every American can afford an air conditioner, let alone pay for the energy needs of that system. I know a resident of California's 47th congressional district who got frustrated during the heat wave. They got literally hot and bothered. Throughout the summer, they didn't have air conditioning in their home. And this constituent is concerned about the increase in temperatures, the air quality issues with wildfires, and they want to buy an energy-efficient heat pump to cool their home, bring down their heating costs, and reduce their dependence on volatile fossil fuels. But she can't just go spend the money because she also needs to replace her broken gas stovetop, which has one working burner, and her 20-year-old dishwasher. Mr. Higgins, how can the Inflation Reduction Act help this Californian afford a heat pump and lower their bills without breaking the bank?
Thank you for the question. It's for the first time there are new incentives for heat pumps because of IRA. It includes a tax incentive of $2,000, but that only helps households that have the tax liability. So there's also a program to create rebates for low-income households, which will be administered through the states, which for participating households, it can cover up to the entire expense, including installation and electric upgrades.
Okay, so this household has tax liability, so I think they're going to be able to get the $2,000 per year for a heat pump. This sounds like this really would help this Californian be able to afford this heat pump, really bring down the cost, reduce the carbon footprint, help her save money on energy bills in the long term. Mr. Higgins, can this hot and frustrated Californian go get this heat pump using this credit?
Yes, and Treasury is working on guidance right now.
Oh, stop there, Mr. Higgins. This Californian is hot today. Can they go get a heat pump using this credit today?
They'd have to wait until the end they file their taxes to get their rebate, but Treasury is working on the guidance to make that much clearer so that by next summer, this will be a much smoother option for households than it was this summer.
Have you heard of death by 1,000 paper cuts? It's how to get rid of something by subtly attacking it over and over until it's finally gone. Death by 1,000 cuts. For too many years, Washington politicians have worked to gut the Internal Revenue Service, and they found creative ways to cut the IRS time and time again. How do they do that? Phase one, they start by attacking its credibility. Look, I know that the agency that collects our taxes isn't easy to love. Believe me, opportunistic politicians know that too. So they go on TV and they give the IRS a verbal slash, falsely suggesting to the American people that the IRS is spying on us, targeting us for our political beliefs, or going after us to pay more money than we owe. What a bunch of BS. But even though those claims lack any evidence, we might be inclined to believe negative things about an agency that collects taxes. Look, even the Bible isn't that kind to tax collectors. These politicians easily succeed in creating and spreading hostility, making it even easier to slash the IRS again.